Hello.
Ha!
That's how we test everything now.
Mm-hmm.
Ah! All right.
Good enough.
Good enough. Should we do a clap in?
Oh yeah, let's clap.
Oh, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, welcome to the Idiot's Guide to Horror.
Counteracting the toxic culture surrounding horror fandom and breaking down your favorite horror movies. With you, as always, your hosts, Kara Alice Popovich.
And Christopher Ralph Haberman. So everybody turn off the lights, grab your knives, arrows, machetes, but leave your hockey masks until the third one. Let's get ready to dissect Friday the 13th.
Yeah, the first one from 1980, directed by Sean S. Cunningham.
Richie's older brother.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, a Happy Days reference. Right now,
you can watch this right now on AMC Plus because apparently Paramount has like the fucking death grips on it. You cannot find it anywhere except for AMC Plus, which is a streaming service that nobody has.
No.
So otherwise, you just have to rent it or buy it. Would I recommend that?
I own it.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is the first installment, of course, of the original Friday the 13th franchise. It is a completely different movie from what you get for the rest of the series.
And we're doing it because it's Friday the 13th.
Or it was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
You lose some.
2 days ago, yesterday. We're recording when it was yesterday. Now it'll be 2 days ago.
Oh my god, Multiverse of Madness.
So...
Did you see that?
No.
I need to watch the last two Spider-Mans before I see it.
Yeah, same here. Well, I watched I'm waiting to watch No Way Home until you have watched No Way Home.
Feel free to watch it whenever you want. I can't get through Far From Home.
Because of Jake Gyllenhaal existing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, Friday the 13th. This is,
Cultural phenomenon.
Cultural phenomenon. Yeah, culturally significant. That's what I have to say about it so far.
I don't know how it spawned a sequel, though. Okay, so the movie we just watched.
Yes.
How do you go from that and say, let's do another one?
Very simple. Money.
Yeah.
You find a way when money is involved, because...
Life finds a way.
All right.
That's me. We'll look that up later.
So, back of the box description. Since this is another older one, we were able to pull... Well, Chris was able to pull a direct VHS actual back of the box description. So, I guess this is kicking off our summer series, too.
Yeah. Let's do Sleepaway Camp again.
Yes, because that movie is far better than this one.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Oh, I know
just
what we
gave
could do.
away my feelings ahead of time.
You want to do another summer camp slasher? We could do 1976, whatever that one was.
Oh, the Fear Street movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that movie was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Those were all really good. I actually didn't like that one as much as I liked the other two.
No, the first one was good. The second one was whatever. The third one was bomb.
It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
But you need them all.
Right.
Let's do all three of them.
Okay.
In a row.
I'm into
Are
it.
they still on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're Netflix originals. They're never going anywhere.
Okay, I'm into it.
So do you want to do the back of the box?
Picture it. It's 1980. You and your friends are smoking a doobie down by the river. Mm. You just got finished murdering 13, 14 teenagers, and you want to go watch a movie to relive your glory day, which just happened moments ago. So you go down to Blockbuster? Yeah.
Sure.
Somebody Google what year Blockbuster was founded.
It was not this one. VHS tapes were not available for rental. I think like you were at this point, if VCRs were even invented, you had to be very rich to own one.
Yeah, because when the picture from the VHS was released in '94.
Yeah, that makes sense. This was probably still a point when you had to like catch reruns in theaters and, you know, on TV if you were lucky.
Huh. So anyway, you just murdered a handful of teenagers down by the lake. They were doing it, so, you know.
Yeah, they had it coming.
Yeah. And today was his birthday. But you go down to your old movie theater and you pop on in and you say, hey, what's this movie about? And the teller,
who is wearing like, who's like, so in this, I'm imagining like you're going to like ye old video store because it's near the summer camp. So it's like a broken down cabin shed. And there's just like a guy with like a dip-in behind the counter and like a fisherman's hat. And he's just like, oh, let me tell you about this here movie.
And here's what he says. Terror. Can you picture him saying terror? Okay.
Terror.
Terror and suspense abound in this 24-hour nightmare of blood. Camp Crystal Lake has... I typed this. Camp Crystal Lake has been shuttered for over 20 years due to vicious and unsolved murders. The camp's new owner and 7 young counselors are readying the property for reopening despite warnings of a death curse from local residents. The curse proves true on Friday the 13th as one by one. One by one. Remember from Evil Dead 2?
Yes.
Let's do Evil Dead 2 for summer.
Oh, yeah.
One by one. One by one, each of the counselors is stalked by a violent killer. The film is widely acclaimed for its horrifying creative murder sequences. Why is that in there? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So spoiler warning, we're going to talk about this movie in depth up to and including the ending. So if you haven't seen this movie, please pause this episode and watch it if you want to. If not, it is of my personal opinion that you can hear a description of this and move on with your life. But that is up to you.
Yeah, you've already seen Scream.
Right.
So the ending's spoiled.
The ending is spoiled. So this movie was filmed at Camp Nobi Bosco. Nobi Bosco.
That's where I was born.
In New Jersey. The camp is still in operation, and it has a wall of Friday the 13th memorabilia to honor that the movie was set there.
So, okay. Picture it.
You're a child.
You're a child.
Going to summer camp, and you're, like, scared to leave your parents.
Yeah.
And then you walk up, and they're like, here's all these fake murders that happened here.
Shit tons of them.
You excited?
Scaring.
Sleep in the bed where Kevin Bacon got an arrow shoved through his sternum.
Scaring children with murder. Okay.
This is...
Betsy Palmer said that if it was not for the fact that she was in desperate need of a new car, she would have never accepted the role of Pamela Voorhees. In fact, after reading the script, she called the movie a piece of shit. Over the years, however, Pamela did warm to the film as it made her more famous than infamous, and she made appearances at conventions and documentaries to discuss it.
It's funny that she's just outright like, that movie blows ass. Like, I don't want to do that, but like, I gotta get a car.
Yeah, I gotta get wheels, man.
Yes.
Igby goes west. And what was it? Igby goes. Where'd Igby go?
Down.
Who went west? Fievel.
Ingrid and Fievel both went west. Yeah.
Ingrid versus.
Is it Ingrid goes west? What's her fucking name?
We'll never know.
Okay, the film made $39,754,601 on a budget of $550,000. I can't believe I was just able to read that number on the first go.
I still don't know how you did it. Witchcraft. Burner at the stake.
I actually, you know what, that might be necessary. You should just do that. Just take care of it now.
No, we have a summer series happening.
Yes.
We cannot, I mean, I was going to add a stupid myself.
Right, but I thought that was for your wedding.
That is a wedding. So we dance around the maypole. The winner gets to marry my boyfriend, and then I am going to add a stupid myself henceforth. While most of the cast and crew stayed at local hotels during filming, the more dedicated, including Tom Savini, Tazo, and Stavrakis, stayed at the actual campsite, and they had Savini Betamax in only a couple of movies, such as Barbarella and Marathon Man, to keep themselves entertained. Tom Savini says to this day he can recite these movies by heart, although he would not tell me that, as I followed him around Walmart asking for an autograph, as he ignored me. Because if you don't know, Tom Savini lives right down the street.
We live in Pittsburgh. We live in the home of Tom Savini and George Romero. We have both run into Tom Savini several times. We should probably leave it at that. Because the camp was closed during filming, and situated in the deep New Jersey woods, the cast and crew didn't see much outside interference, but it turned out they had a very famous neighbor, rock star Lou Reed, who owned a farm nearby, which is like, I didn't know that Lou Reed had a farm.
He would play music for them every night. I cut that part out, I thought I made it too long, but I said it anyway.
That's so cute.
Satellite of love. Tom Savini was one of the first crew members on board for the film because the producers idolized his special effects makeup in Dawn of the Dead.
Once again, Tom Savini, Pittsburgh's own. Period. Special effects supervisor Tom Savini performed the arrow shot that narrowly missed Brenda when she was setting up the archery target. That's pretty crazy. He must be good at archery.
Well, he's not good at talking to me.
Hey, what's the next fact about?
Is it Tom Savini? No. The working title of the movie was Long Night...
You skipped one.
Oh. Fuck. You read that one. The working title of the movie is Long Night at Camp Blood.
That's a terrible title.
I know.
It's really bad.
Wait, what's worse? This or Blood Buddies from Child's Play?
Blood Buddies. No, you know what? Long Night at Camp Blood sucks. Like, can you imagine, like, years later, like, being here now in 2022 and there being a bunch of merch for a movie called Long Night at Camp Blood?
Yeah,
no.
I can.
Okay, so the one that Chris didn't want to read is the scene with the snake was not in the script and was an idea from Tom Savini after an experience in his own cabin during filming. The snake in the scene was real, including its on-screen death. Censored emoji, censored emoji, censored emoji.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did not know that. I
Yeah.
could have lived without knowing that.
I know, but it was there and I had to put it in. The people deserve to know.
Okay. You want to read this super long one?
Oh, for now. For the now iconic role of Pamela Voorhees, Cunningham and company went in search of an actress with a recognizable name whose career was nevertheless on the decline, so she could be paid relatively little and the budget could stay low. They made a list of actresses he was considering, and two-time Oscar winner Shelley Winters was his top choice. However, she said no. Duh. While fellow candidate, Oscar winner, maybe just one-time Oscar winner, because it doesn't say two-time,
Right.
Estelle Parsons actually negotiated to be in the film. She ultimately backed out. They also considered Louise Lasser, Dorothy Malone, right up until filming began, so they had to settle with Betsy Palmer because everybody else said no.
And she was like, I need a fucking car.
I need a car. The script's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Once again, it shocks me that Louise Lasser was like, this is beneath me, but took on blood rage. Like...
Maybe times weren't so tough.
Apparently nobody is saying it's yeah, he is. He's saying, yeah, like, they, like, told him that the like, line from the movie was going to be kill her mommy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, he was like, oh, I'll just take these two syllables and make a sound out of it. But it does not sound like that. That is not the way that people say.
No.
They don't go.
Somebody call up Henry
Manfredini.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. I've heard this story many times about him doing
believe
this.
it.
I do. I've seen him do it. Like, I've seen him do it.
Is he pronouncing it wrong?
No, it's just the way that he edits it makes it sound like it just gets rid of the first two, like, hard noises. Which, like, what's the point, you know? Alright, so now it's time to tell you everything that you need to know about Camp Crystal Lake.
Inspired by the soft drink, Crystal Light.
Probably not, but you know what? Now it is. Crystal Light, please sponsor this episode.
Yes, we're paying you money. Wait, no. That's not how sponsorship works. That's the opposite
That's
of
the
how
opposite.
sponsorship
Please pay
works.
us money. We said your name.
Mm-hmm.
So, the movie begins in 1958. There is a little itty-bitty prologue in which two summer camp counselors at Camp Crystal Lake in an unspecified American city. Their names are Barry and Claudette. And
I never got that.
There's a campfire sing-along.
Also terrible.
Really bad.
Would you ever do that?
No. God, no. Why would I want to do that? Who wants...
Kumbaya.
I went to, like, a weekend camp, like a 2-day sleepaway camp in 6th grade. I wish.
Was Judy there?
I wish. I wish. But all that was there was just lifetime humiliation, so it's fine. Things that still come back to me at night when I, like, pull the covers up, and then I'm like, oh, remember when you, like, tumbled down that hill of thorns during, like, the hike? And, yeah, no. But they did try to make us sing campfire songs one night, and I just sat there, like...
I understand that, but this was just a counselor singing Kumbaya.
I know, just together around the campfire.
No wonder
they left it. No wonder they left to have sex.
Yeah.
Like, Barry and Claudette were like, this sucks.
Yeah.
We're out.
Oh, you're going to do 4 more verses of Kumbaya?
Okay. We have better things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So before they're able to even really get to it, there's just, like, nobody, you know, like, we get a POV shot of somebody coming up on them. Kills Barry. We don't really see them stab Barry, but they stab Barry, and then they like freeze frame on Claudette screaming, and then it just zooms in on her face slowly. Thus begins Friday the 13th. So then that's the prologue. The film moves forward from here. In the present day, which at this point was 1980, Friday, June 13th.
That's what day it is today.
It is Friday, May 13th.
Whatever.
It's Saturday, May 14th.
And for you, it's Sunday, May 15th.
Yes.
Now, here's my only question about this movie.
Yes.
So Annie, the character we meet right now, who's walking to Camp Crystal Lake, stops and asks the dog directions.
Yeah. She's very, like, seemingly very dumb. And at the beginning of this movie, you get the impression that she's going to be the final girl because, like, we spend so much time with her and she's so bubbly and brunette, which is very much like a unfortunate archetype.
If I had to guess who the final girl was, not having seen this movie, I never would have told you.
I know. I agree.
It's Laurie Strode, everybody.
But she literally does just stop and she's like, hey, do you speak English? To a fucking dog.
Son of Sam style.
Yeah. And the dog's just like,
Ripple.
nah, the dog's just looking at her like, no, lady, keep giving me pets. She goes to a small diner. She asks for directions to Camp Crystal Lake, and they're all like,
yeah, no thanks.
And so a truck driver is like, I'll take you there, but
sweet thing.
Yeah, before they leave, some dude comes out and he's like, you're gonna die there.
Camp Blood.
Yeah, it's
Death Curse.
Yes, it says it has a death curse. His name is Crazy Ralph. So Annie and this truck driver, start heading that way, and he's like, when did you get this job? And she's like telling him about it, and he's like, you should quit.
Yeah.
You should quit right now. And she's like, I'm not gonna quit. Why would I quit? And he's like, kid died there, and other people died there, and you should quit. And she's like, not you too. And he's like, stupid kid. And she's like, dumbass bitch. And but they somehow still leave the interaction liking each other.
I don't remember her getting out of the car, but she does. She
does. She has like a bunch of shit. Like, he drops her off at a cemetery, and like, I guess that's like the farthest he would take her, because she has to get into another truck eventually, which leads to her inevitable doom.
Timely demise.
Yeah.
With a really good neck slash scene. Gross.
It's gross. Yeah.
It's gross. It's my buddy Tom. Hey Tom. If I see you at Best Buy later today, I'm gonna tell you that.
So she gets dropped off at the cemetery, and she's heading towards Camp Crystal Lake on foot. And then we meet some more characters: Ned, Jack, and Marcy.
Oh, good for that, because I hated that boy.
So Jack is Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
That's the end of recognizable cast in this film.
That one is related to Bing Crosby.
Cool. Good for them. Good for them.
Boy or girl, couldn't tell you.
So they're also all headed to Camp Crystal Lake, and they're talking about stupid teenager shit. Nothing interesting.
Boobs and butts.
Boobs and butts, butts and boobs. So they get to the camp, and they meet Steve, who looks like every guy who is harassing you in your Instagram DMs right now. I feel like when I watched this, I was like, is this where they're getting it from? Is this where the men are, like, getting it from now? Because just, like, the cut-off jean shorts, Oh, excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you. The cutoff jean shorts, the mustache, the like the wire rimmed glasses, the bandana.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I feel like I could walk into, like a certain part of town and see 8 men that look like this right now. It was really I no longer felt like I was watching a movie from the 80s. And then Annie walked in with her bowl cut, and I was like, here we are, yes. Alice comes up, she introduces herself, and she also tells Steve that, like, there's something else that they need to work on.
I ignored this entire part in the notes because I really couldn't care less.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Nothing's plot.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't drive the plot anywhere.
Yeah, meanwhile, Annie hitches again to the camp.
This is illegal. Kids, children, youths. Hitchhiking is now illegal. Maybe for this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for this.
I think that hitchhiking was never really legal. I don't know. I would have to look into that. I don't know, like, the history of the legality of hitchhiking. I've never felt interested in doing it myself. I don't want to be murdered. So Annie asks for a ride, and this driver comes up, and the driver just doesn't talk, and Annie's, like, saying stuff to the driver. She jumps out of the car because they're being weird, and then they pull over and they chase her through the woods, and then she backs herself up against a tree, and an unseen assailant slits her throat.
A really good one.
Yeah, so that's 3 so far. If we're keeping kill count.
Betsy, Craven, and Annie.
Betsy, Craven, and Annie.
Do we count the boy who drowned in that lake? No, because it didn't happen.
No, not yet. So...
But there's kids swimming in that lake right now, and one girl, whoever it could be, finds a snake in her dressing room. Nope. Her dressing room. She calls Bill to kill the snake. He doesn't know what to do. So all the kids come in, and they're, like, beating the snake with pillows.
Right.
God. But then they murder that poor snake.
Yeah.
And then we meet a police officer. And it's cultural appropriation. Here comes a cop. Kevin Bacon thinks he's funny. And the cop's like, you guys smoke? And Kevin Bacon's like, smoking causes cancer. Also,
like, that douchebag is wearing, like, a traditional Indian headdress and making very racist Indian noises, yeah.
Racist.
Yeah, it's just, like, for some reason it's also, like, the header image on Letterboxd.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Like, just that guy in a fucking Indian headdress, a Native American headdress.
It is. I'm not saying I didn't believe you. I just don't know why they would do this.
The police officer leaves. And then Alice is getting ready for, dinner or whatever. She's setting up the kitchen. And she opens the pantry, and Ralph just shows up from the pantry. How Ralph got into the pantry? Never explained.
No.
We don't know. How did Ralph get there? Did he drive? How did they not...
He ride that bicycle.
Oh, right.
Do you know what this scene could have used? A 14-foot pot for boiling corn.
No. It's the part of Sleepaway Camp that I hate the most. Is that tall-ass pot. So he's saying, I'm the messenger of God. You're doomed if you stay here. This place is cursed. Cursed. It's got a death curse. And
if I hear the word death curse one more time, I'm leaving.
I know, right? Like, and he leaves the cabin, and Alice is like,
oh, a death curse.
Yeah. And that's, they're just like, oh, that guy's crazy. There's so much here that just doesn't need to be here. This movie could have been...
Do you want to skip to the...
60 minutes long.
Do you want to skip to the part where Jack and Marcy are done with the lake kissing? Yeah. Ned's walking around by himself, and he sees somebody go into a cabin to check it out. Now, these names are all guesses. So, if any name wrongs, let me know. So, Ned goes after this person to see who it is. Then we cut back to Marcy telling Jack about a dream where it's raining, there's a storm, and it's raining blood.
Like, who cares? Like, if he's sitting through that...
He just wants some.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Oh, I have a blood dream. And he's like, okay, bitch, it's gonna rain, we gotta get out of here. So they run back to their bunks to do it.
Right.
While the other kids are playing Strip Monopoly. But that doesn't matter right now, because it goes right back to Marcy and Jack, which I spelled 2 different ways here. i.e. and why. Okay, 3 days. So while Marcy and Jack are like making whoopee,
my god,
it's the 80s. Jack, we see Ned on the bed above them, like throat slit, dead. Eventually, Marcy walks away, and Jack is stabbed through the bottom of the bunk with an arrow through the throat, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. You can like hear the skin breaking and stuff like that. It's pretty nuts.
Remember to bring that up to Tom Savini later today.
Close and personal friend.
Friend of the podcast, Tom Savini. I don't know what he's doing later. I'm gonna hit him up. I'm just gonna message him.
So yeah, Marcy comes back. She hears the door creaking. Marcy thinks that it's Jack, and she leaves the bathroom. And she was like doing like a weird like audition in the mirror. I don't know what she was doing.
I loved it.
Just talking to herself in her underwear because this is a
the
slasher
80s.
movie from the 80s. Yeah. So she thinks that everybody else is playing a prank on her because they've all been pranking each other all day. And she opens the shower blinds, and then she sees Jack before she dies, right? Does she see him before? No, she doesn't see him before she dies because she gets an axe to her fucking face.
Yeah, really cool axe to the face.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring that up to Tom Savini later today. I'm going to walk him through this movie shot by shot and say, tell me how.
So meanwhile, three of the other counselors are playing. Oh, by the way, Ned's dead.
Ned's dead, baby. No, Zed's dead from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Zed's dead, but Ned's dead.
Where's Ned? That's my French accent.
Ned is above the bunk where Jack and Marcy were having sex with his throat slit.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. So Brenda just decides that everybody should play strip Monopoly. And like we get way too fucking detailed with this Monopoly game. Like they're talking about Baltic Avenue. I'm like, I do not fucking care.
You know what I hate the most in this world?
What?
Monopoly.
If you're playing Monopoly with people, like that is the most bored you can possibly be. What are you doing? What have you done? Chris is rifling through his closet.
Oh, it's not Monopoly.
It's
I
not
thought it was
Monopoly.
Friday the 13th Monopoly.
Oh, okay.
It's just
an accessory set. I am of the belief that you only play Monopoly with people if you are A, actively trying to destroy your relationship with them, or B, really bored and don't know how else to make conversation for at least 3 hours that you're stuck with them, which I think is what's going on here.
Now, do you think they knew each other before this, or are they just meeting for the first time?
I think they're just meeting for the first time. So they decide to call it a night because it's raining really hard.
And Brenda left her windows open.
Yeah, Brenda left her windows open, so she goes back to her cabin and she starts to read, and then she hears like a childlike voice.
Help me.
Yeah, so she goes outside, and when the outdoor lights come up, she's back in the archery range, and she's trapped by the killer, and we don't see what happens after that.
Maybe never again.
No. So Bill goes to Alice's cabin, and she tells him that she heard a scream, and they go to Brenda's cabin where they find the bloody axe, and it's
Whose bed was it in?
It was Brenda's. Like, it's like in Brenda's bed. And Jack and Marcy, they go to Jack and Marcy's cabin, and then the bathrooms. They're not finding any bodies. And they start to suspect that it isn't a setup or prank or something serious. And that it is something serious. Bill keeps saying, like, it's probably, like, everything's probably okay. And Alice is like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, there's a bloody axe tucked into a bed. This isn't normal.
And there's a death curse on this camp. And we find out now-ish, that the police officer says that it's Friday the 13th and a full moon.
Right.
How often does that happen?
Yeah.
I could Google it, but, like...
It did happen. Okay, so I did once I went to New Orleans to see Jenny Lewis on Friday the 13th during a full moon. Best night of my life.
I remember Halloween was on a full moon 2 years ago.
Great stuff.
I did the Ouija by myself. Look at me now.
So Alice and Bill get into Steve's office and find that the phone lines have been cut.
I missed this whole part.
They try to take Jack's car to town, but it won't start. And
because it's wet. Yeah.
they decide to wait at the main lodge for Steve to come back because Steve's just out having dinner, like flirting with an old lady waitress.
Tip for 75 cents though.
Yeah, really
I think
nice.
That's good.
I think that's good for that time. Steve goes back to Camp Crystal Lake because he's like, oh, I got literal babies. Like, they're literal babes running this camp right now, and they need my help. So...
His name was what?
Steve.
Oh, I thought it was Chip.
So he's on his way back, and his Jeep gets stuck in the mud, and he can't get it out. And a passing policeman offers to give him a ride back to camp, but he gets reported of a serious accident in town, and he's forced to drop him off only as close as he can get him.
Which is at the sign for Camp Crystal Lake.
Right, which,
good.
yeah,
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. So Steve's walking the rest of the way back, and he sees a flashlight at the Camp Crystal Lake sign, and then he's like, is once again the killer POV, and he's like, hey, what are you doing out here in this storm? And then he gets stabbed to death.
So now, did we find Bill's dead body?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
We
might find it now.
Well, yeah, the killer goes to the power generator and kills it. Did we include that in the body count? Yeah. So Bill goes out and investigates because, the power is suddenly cut.
He's a man.
And Alice stays in the cabin because Bill's like, I'm the man here. You stay here and just have that bowl cut. And...
Yeah, very popular for the time.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So he doesn't come back. So Alice goes to the generator cabin to look for him.
Before she goes out, she makes coffee.
She does make coffee. She's like, gonna be a long night.
So she's worried all of her friends are missing. The only person she knows where they're at just left and hasn't come back. So she boils water to make coffee.
So let's say it's, whatever, like 11 o'clock at night. You're getting a little sleepy. You're like, I think I might be in for it. This might be a long night. And you have like 5 minutes. Are you not making coffee?
Yeah, but I have like a Keurig. Okay, if it was me in the 80s, she's making instant coffee, which I guess is the fastest coffee to make.
Right.
Like a pour over or like a drip.
She's got like a Senka. She's got a Senka.
Okay. All right. So I'm on her side. She couldn't run through a quick Starbucks or get a Red Bull because they weren't invented yet.
She was working with what she had. I get it. So after she makes coffee, she goes to the generator cabin, can't find him. She closes the front door, and his body is pinned to the door with arrows.
Where have I seen that before? Not with arrows, but
Halloween, yeah, when he stabs him.
My favorite scene
Yeah,
in that
and
movie.
then he, cocks his head to the side, like, oh, that's weird.
Jason will never, whoever the killer is in this movie will never be Michael Myers.
Halloween is a better movie than this. So... I'm sorry to everybody. I know I have friends that really love this movie.
Yeah, it's my boyfriend's favorite franchise. Like, my whole house is Friday the 13th. I have planters downstairs with Jason Voorhees faces on them.
You can hate me if you want. I don't. Okay. So, anyway, she realizes that all of her friends are dead because she just saw one of them. Like, the evidence, that's it. This is what's going on. So she goes back to the main cabin and tries to, barricade herself in.
She ties it with a rope. She throws the lightest chairs you could find on top of the door.
Right, and this is the part that's super funny to me. Brenda's corpse is thrown through the window.
So here's... Okay. I'm not saying that it couldn't be done, but how is the killer going to throw that body through the window?
I have questions.
Because whenever we find out who the killer is...
Wait, she's at the gym.
In that cable knit sweater.
Preparing. So Alice hears a car outside of the cabin, and she's like, finally, it's Steve. So she runs out to join him, and instead she finds a middle-aged woman who introduces herself as Mrs. Voorhees.
A friend of the Christies.
Yes. She explains that she's an old friend of the Christies. And Alice is like, get out of here. Go. Something's going on. People are dying here. But Mrs. Voorhees insists on going inside to check after being told about what's going on. And she, gets really, verklempt when she sees Brenda's body, and then starts criticizing Steve for trying to open the camp after everything that happened. She also says that the camp was, has a death curse. And then she tells Alice the story of her son, Jason Voorhees.
Like during Nom flashbacks.
Yes, who died at the camp in 1957. And she then starts, winding up. And we kind of start seeing what's happening here. Because she starts rambling and ranting about how...
you let him drown. You weren't paying attention.
Yeah, because she was the camp's cook and he drowned.
He needed constant attention.
That's
constant supervision.
Yeah, they were unsupervised. They were having sex. And June 13th, Friday the 13th, is Jason's birthday. And she's talking to herself and shouting at Alice and accusing Alice personally of killing Jason. And she pulls out a knife, which is the same one that she's been using to stab people all day. And Mrs. Voorhees, is the killer.
Dum bum bum. So how'd she throw Brenda's body through the window?
Like I said, I just imagine her at the gym, like you said, in that cable knit sweater, just doing bench presses, being I'm gonna eventually have to throw a woman's body through the window.
Because she seemed to be maybe in her late 50s.
Yeah. Also, you know what's even harder than that? Holding Bill up against the door and shoving arrows through him to keep him pinned to it.
Yeah.
That's also a lot of strength. You also have to exhibit a lot of upper body strength.
Yeah.
So then there's just a really long chase that goes on for entirely too long. I'm sorry again. I'm sorry.
Pamela's running through the woods doing the Beetlejuice thing where she's like, kill him, mommy. Kill him. I mean, Beetlejuice never said that. But
Gotcha.
It was just funny to me because I wrote down learn to hear your voice clear for sound parties. Which was that's what I was thinking of. So she's speaking for herself and Jason. Alice goes and finds 100 guns in a shed. So America, However, the ammo's locked up. Very un-American. Pam gets inside. Alice hits her in the vagina. She throws a ball of yarn at her.
Looney Tunes.
So here I googled Robert Mitchum for some reason, so I missed a lot of what was happening. But somehow Alice hits Pam over the head with a frying pan. They wrestle by a boat, and then Alice cuts off Pam's... Oh, we never said her name was Pam. Alice cuts off Mrs. Voorhees' head with a machete.
It's just so Looney Tunes. You can hear the Benny Hill theme song in the background. So yeah, Alice gets a machete and decapitates Mrs. Voorhees in just one.
That would also take a lot of strength.
Movement. Yeah, it takes a lot of strength. It also takes really good aim. Alice has done this before.
Alice is the killer in the sequel.
I am of the belief that Alice has beheaded somebody with a machete at least one time before, and unsuccessfully attempted at least a few other times.
Yeah. I mean, she is the Headless Horseman.
I would think so. So Alice is in shock, and she just gets into a canoe and starts paddling out into the middle of the lake, where she goes to sleep.
As you would.
As you would. It's this is the safest place to be. So the police show up, and they start calling out to her, and when she wakes up, and she sits up, and she's like, I'm gonna get rescued, right? And then all of a sudden, Jason comes up out of the water like Free Willy, grabs her like this, and pulls her out of the canoe. And she's dragged underwater, and then she wakes up in a hospital. Which just cut the ending. Cut it there.
No, I watched the director's cut of this movie, the uncut version. I don't know what the difference is. I'll Google that while you finish that.
But she wakes up in a hospital, and she asks about Jason. The police inform her that they never found any body inside the lake, and she's like, then he's still there. If they had just cut it, then the sequel thing would make a lot more sense to me. You know what I mean? But the fact... Also, it's a more shocking ending if the final girl dies in that canoe, like in that lake, after like a boy just like a deformed boy just emerges from the lake like a fucking dolphin and drags her down into it, than it is for her to be in the hospital the next day, like saying to the police, like, you need to search the lake for the boy. Like,
I don't get it.
I don't either. But that's the original Friday the 13th, guys. So before we get into how we feel about it, we always like to go ahead and give you some opinions from the hit social media for cinephiles, Letterboxd. We call it Letterboxd Beat Street. And we pulled, well, Chris, as usual, pulled one review, and I couldn't choose between two of them, so I have two. Do you want to start?
Yeah, my review is from featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series, which is that's a username if I've ever heard one. Who rated it 2.5 stars, and he said, I already messed it up. I'm not going to clap. It says, don't call yourself a Friday the 13th fan if you've never murdered teenagers.
But with clapping emojis in between each word.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first one for me comes from Alia, who gave it 2.5 stars and said, I feel like this has happened to all of us at some point in our lives.
True.
And then the top review on Letterboxd is also very funny to me. It comes from Patrick Willems, 3 stars, and just says, a very violent Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
Because, like, the reveal of Pamela Voorhees is very Scooby-Doo-ish.
Mm-hmm.
100%. It does pass the Bechdel test, which is surprising. However, it does fail the DuVernay test.
Yeah, it's just a lot of white people.
It is a lot of white people. Idiot's Guide to Gore, definitely a 5 out of 5.
Very gory.
It's pretty gory. I think that this is this started the revolution of like slasher movies, like really showing their kills in like insane detail.
Mm-hmm.
Because Nightmare on Elm Street isn't until like many years after this, right? Like Nightmare on Elm Street is 84, and Halloween, there's
78.
no gore
No.
in Halloween, none. So this was really like the original, like very popular, like this movie is built on the kill scenes.
When was Evil Dead?
1981. Okay. So body count, 10 kills. Pamela kills 9 kids, and Alice kills Pamela Voorhees. So that's 10 bodies altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Idiot's Guide to How Scary It Was. I would give it a 0.
Yeah, maybe like a 1. If it's your first horror movie ever.
If it's your first horror movie, if you're the kind of person who is scared of gore, I guess it would be higher. Like, if gore actually scares you more than it grosses you out, like, I guess it would be scary. But as far as being, like, actually unsettling to the point where you can't turn out the lights goes, I wouldn't rate it that high.
Yeah, like, if... Like, on a scale of slashers, where Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, is terrifying the first time you see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the opposite scale of that.
Right. And also Halloween, I think, does a pretty good job of, like...
Mm-hmm.
You know, being a little bit more subtle.
Mm-hmm.
So, you ready to get the keys?
Oh, baby. Do I get the keys? I don't know.
All right. Every week on Idiot's Guide to Horror, we like to imagine that we have been given the keys to remake or reboot the film that we are discussing, which we would not be the first.
No, they've made so many reboots.
Yeah.
Just the one, I think.
It was just the one with Jared Padalecki. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. We then imagine what we would keep because we think it's flawless and what we would throw out the second we got the chance. So, Chris, this week, what was flawless for you?
Tom Savini. The practical effects are amazing.
Thank you, Tom Savini.
Mm-hmm. What about you? What'd you like?
That's it.
I liked Annie talking to a dog. The story?
Is there a story? Okay, so I guess, alright. For me, what's flawless about this movie is the practical effects. I will say Tom Savini did an excellent job. I do credit it with being, like, the movie that started this, like, movement of actually showing us the deaths on camera and making them, like, really interesting to look at and really upsetting to look at. I wouldn't say that it's like the original slasher, but I think that it formed the way that we do slashers in general.
No, because Peeping Tom was, right?
Peeping Tom was like the original slasher, yeah. But you definitely don't see any on-screen deaths in that movie. And then Psycho, you could also make an argument for Psycho.
Yeah. Also no on-screen.
Well, like, the shower scene is
you know what pisses me off about that movie so much?
What?
She gets into the shower, then turns the water on.
Yeah, that's sociopath behavior.
She deserved it. Not only did she steal all that money, and then trade it for that car, then went on the run.
Right.
Which is all pretty bad. But she gets into that shower, and then turns it on.
If you're not standing there for, like, 5 minutes outside of the shower with your hand like you're approaching a dog.
I use a leg.
Oh, really? You use a foot?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I use my hand like I'm approaching a dog for the first time, and I'm just like, is that tepid?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No. She gets into the shower and then turns the water on. She had it coming.
This has now become that we've now just moved on to what was flawless and what we would throw out about Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. But yeah, the practical effects are amazing. It definitely started like this whole sort of thing. I would say that also I appreciate that it gave birth to the Friday the 13th franchise, because everything that came after this was better than this.
Mm-hmm.
However, if I could change something, what would it be? This movie's boring as shit. There is no character development. The characters are just void of substance entirely.
They are just fuel.
Yes.
To be burned.
They're literally like cannon fodder.
Mm-hmm.
That is all they are.
Alice is in 2, right?
I think so, yeah.
I haven't watched 2 in a while.
I haven't watched 2 in a while
I
either.
have it on Blu-ray.
I like 3 and 4 the best.
I don't think I've ever seen 4.
Oh, you gotta.
Okay. Well, they were all on fucking Paramount, but now none of them are.
None of them are, yeah. I can't stand Pamela Voorhees. I have a hard time watching that.
Would you have liked her better as Shelley Winters?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. But just like, I don't know, like the sweater and the like, kill her, mommy, kill her. Like, I hate it so much.
Mm-hmm.
I have like a visceral, like, aggressive reaction to it.
What about the Pamela Voorhees from Freddy vs. Jason?
Still annoying. Still annoying. Freddy vs. Jason, I think, is probably my favorite Friday the 13th movie. But I just don't, just to be completely honest, I don't like this movie. I don't.
That's okay. I didn't like Child's Play.
Yeah, I would never seek this out on my own.
This is like a sleepover movie.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I saw this when I was, like, you know, a teenager, and I was like, good, one and done. And then I, like, saw it one other time since, and I was like, I'm really suffering through this. This is boring. I don't like it. What don't you like? Oh, yeah, the cultural appropriation.
I don't like the cultural appropriation, the racism, the killing a snake. God.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to see it one more time.
I know. Think of a better way.
Like, we learned from Cannibal Holocaust. We don't do this in a movie.
Get a rubber snake.
Tie it to a string, go like this, and wiggle it around.
Yeah.
And then hit it with all the pillows you want.
You figured out how to drive an arrow through Kevin Bacon's chest. Like, you can't... You're telling me you can't make a snake?
What's Tom Savini been doing? I'm going to call him up tonight. Tom, get ready.
Stacy, get Tom on the phone.
Stacy! I forgot about her. She's so quiet in the background all the time.
She is very quiet.
I'm going to put her on the notes so I don't forget her again. Stacy. The pacing's terrible in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, if you're going to make a movie where we're going to just have kids being murdered, have something happening in between the murders, or make more murders.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, I don't want to watch people play Monopoly. I don't want to fucking hear about, like, the real estate in Monopoly and how, like, the inner workings of it. Like, it felt like a Milton Bradley ad for, like, 5 minutes.
So, I know that we keep saying this, but do you remember Sleepaway Camp?
Yeah.
Think about the pacing in that.
So good.
And then just replicate it, except backwards, because Sleepaway Camp came out after this.
Right. And made good on the formula.
Mm-hmm.
Because it also has the POV killer shots and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So we never find out who the killer is.
Wink. But yeah, I agree with you 100% on the pacing. There's like nothing to this movie. It's really just like this is a movie designed around the kills, which is, like, fine.
Well, the script was written after they promoted the movie as Friday the 13th before they had anything written down. So, like, the script came second after the intro title screen where the Friday the 13th broke through that window.
Right.
That was what they had first, and that's what they were promoting. So then Richie Cunningham did the script as an afterthought.
Okay. That makes sense to me. So what do you rate it?
I'm going to give it a 3.
3?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain further?
The kills were great. And it's a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, I guess that works.
It's a classic and deserves at least a star for that.
Yeah, I guess that, like, I feel, like, almost obligated to give it a 3.
Yeah, that's the
Is
least
that
I would
how
give a
I
classic.
feel when I'm watching it? No. I have, like, 2, maybe 2.5 star feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I do not feel as though it is that redemptive. I feel like its redemptive days come later.
I wonder what that kid gave it. You know the one I'm talking about?
No.
The one who you
Oh,
rated
yes,
5?
that kid, yes.
I saw he rated Moana half a star.
Wow. His taste is all over the place.
He gave it 4 stars.
Okay.
I'm not reading this. Too
No,
long.
that's too long. So, that's it for our coverage on Friday the 13th, and as usual, we like to close out the show.
Friend of the show, Tim, gave it 4 stars.
It's one of his favorite movies. Yeah, I think that he really.
Yeah, he just watched the third one and gave the third one too many stuff.
Anyway, we like to close out the show by telling you what we have been consuming that isn't horror. And we call it Idiot's Guide to Non-Horror because we're not very creative people.
Yeah.
So, Chris, this week.
So this week I'm recommending a movie and a song.
I also recommend this song, so I'm so excited.
The movie is The Lost City, starring Sandy B.
I do have to watch it.
And Daniel Radcliffe, and Brad Pitt's in it, and
Channing Tatum.
I was getting confused with John Cena. They look the same to me.
They do look the same to me too. And Patty Harrison is in it too. I love Patty Harrison. It's like the whole reason I want to see it. Patty Harrison and Daniel Radcliffe.
It's so funny, but not too funny, and it's so actiony, but not too actiony, and it's barely a rom-com. So, it's just fun watch. Did I watch it twice, 2 days in a row? Sure, I did.
Did I recommend Down with Love last time?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't listen to our podcast. Do you?
No, not really anymore.
Mm.
So I guess I have a few things that I can recommend. Did you just recommend this song?
Oh, we also, as a team, recommend Foundations of Decay by My Chemical Romance, their first song in 8 years.
I am 16 years old again.
I listened to it and I cried the first time I heard it.
I was so happy because it just sounds like them so much. Like they didn't change their sound at all. It still sounds like My Chemical Romance. Mm-hmm. Gets me right in the feelings.
If I had 6 minutes, I would play it for you right now, but we only have 7 minutes left in this podcast, so.
That is true. Also, I recommend Kids in the Hall just started their new first season in like 30 years. And it is hit or miss, but when it hits, it is so funny. Trigger warning if you don't like looking at naked men. There are 2 of them in the first episode.
I'm in.
But Kids in the Hall is my favorite sketch comedy troupe of all time. I was really excited about this. I'm still really excited about this. Haven't completely finished the season yet, but so far it is very funny.
So far away.
I also recently watched, and this is also me yelling at all of you, because nobody ever told me that the 2003 romantic comedy Down with Love, starring Renee Zellweger and Ewan McGregor, is so good.
How good?
So
How many stars?
Good. 4.5 stars. I don't even like romantic comedies. This movie blew my fucking mind open.
What's it on?
HBO Max.
Okay.
David Hyde Pierce. Sarah Paulson.
Oh.
Yeah.
You had me at Pierce, but now you got me back with Paulson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Niles?
Niles is in it a lot. And it's directed by the same guy that made Bring It On.
You had me at Bring It On.
It is I thought I knew what was happening, and I was already kind of enjoying myself, and I'm not really a romantic comedy person, so that should say something in the first place. But then, I'm not spoiling anything, but it has a better written twist than any horror movie I have seen in, like, the last 10 years, and I was sitting there with my jaw just hanging open.
What about Lady in the Water?
The twist in Lady in the Water is that Paul Giamatti agreed to do that movie.
He's been in some stinkers, buddy.
I know he has. I just love him so much.
He was in John Dies at the End.
He was in John Dies at the End, which is...
a stinker.
It is a stinker.
The book. Recommend the book. I recommend the book. John Dies at the End. And the third one.
What's the third one?
I have to go on my phone. There's an Audible.
I do like the book John Dies at the End. I do. Also, I started listening to a podcast called Behind the Bastards, which if you like history delivered to you in like a snarky package.
What the hell did I just read?
Okay.
The third one.
Okay.
Skip over the middle one. This book is full of spiders.
Okay. Yeah, if you like your history delivered to you in a snarky package, and if you like it to specifically be about bad people, Behind the Bastards is a really good podcast. Currently listening to the episode. They did a series on John Wayne, and I am currently fascinated by what a terrible person John Wayne was.
Yeah. What about Charlie Chaplin?
I did not find whether or not they did an episode on Charlie Chaplin, but I do have to say
He was a monster?
Yeah, the theater that I work at, recently we ran The Great Dictator, and I just, like, walked in for, like, just to stand at the back for the last, like, 5 minutes when he does the speech, and the speech does make me cry, because it's amazing and powerful, and, like, gives me goosebumps every time, but, Charlie Chaplin, not good guy, which I found out when I was, like, 13, and I was, like, obsessed with him for a minute. Like, I found his movies, and I was like, this is great, this guy's great. And then my uncle was like, here's his autobiography, read it. And I read it, and I was like, Charlie Chaplin is a terrible person. Oh, no.
Speaking of things we don't recommend, I watched the first 15 minutes of Ready Player One, and I turned it off.
Yeah, Ready Player One isn't a good movie. Also, Free Guy, not a good movie.
What else have I hated recently?
I just watched The Notebook for the first time.
How was that?
I hated it.
Oh, I've never seen it, but...
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Moana? No, Tangled is my favorite Disney movie.
Okay.
As of when I watched it on the 7th.
Okay.
Because that day I watched Emperor's New Groove, Moana, and Tangled back to back to back.
Have you watched Turning Red yet? You gotta watch Turning Red.
Better than Tangled?
Yeah.
Also, Saint Maud. Check out Saint Maud.
Do check out Saint Maud, yes. I saw Ghost in the Shell for the first time, the movie, the 1995 version, not the one with Scarlett Johansson.
I didn't. I thought she dropped out of that. I thought...
You didn't know that she went ahead and made Ghost in the Shell?
No, I swear to God, I thought she dropped out of it after all the backlash.
No. It's still very much a movie that exists.
Oh my God, she said, lots of backlash, hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she said that she should be able to play a tree if she wants to, because that's what actors do.
That's like a Quentin Tarantino response.
Yeah, right?
Because whenever Spike Lee told him he can't say the N-word, Quentin Tarantino says, I demand the ability to be black when I direct a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like to think about that because I recently just watched Kill Bill and it's like, it's...
a bop.
It's so good. It is so good.
We have a minute left. You want to rank your favorite Quentin Tarantino movies from best to worst?
Okay, so number one, I think... Okay, I consider Kill Bill to be one movie. I am not going to separate the two.
Movie.
I am not going to separate the two. Refuse to do it. So... Kill Bill, I think, is my number one, even though I know that Inglourious Basterds is his best movie. Kill Bill is the one that I enjoy the most.
Reservoir Dogs, my number one movie, even
Really?
though Inglourious Basterds is a better movie.
Inglourious Basterds is categorically his best film.
However, I have to pick Reservoir Dogs as my number one, because I love it the most.
Right. I understand. I think, like, sentimentally for me, Pulp Fiction means a lot to me because, like, it was the first movie of his that I ever saw, and I think it was the movie that really made me fall in love with movies. But for me, like, after rewatching Kill Bill, I was like, this is
Maybe I'll do that today.
fucking perfect.
Because they have them both as one movie.
Especially the second one. It's perfect. It is perfect. It is so watchable. It evokes so much emotion. It gets me fucking juiced up. Like, it is so good.
No, it's not streaming. I had to watch it.
It's on HBO Max.
I know, not the whole bloody affair.
Oh.
Which is both of them pushed together as one movie.
Well, they're both on HBO Max. So, yeah, I would say that Kill Bill would be my number 1. Pulp Fiction would be my number 2. Inglourious Bastards is going to be my number 3. Jackie Brown, Death Proof, Reservoir Dogs, Hateful Eight.
Okay.
Reservoir Dogs is just so, like, rewatching that as an adult, like, yes, it's very good, and also, like, there is, like, this thing where I'm like, they're boyfriends. Like, you can tell me all the live long day that Quentin Tarantino did not mean for them to be boyfriends, but they are boyfriends.
It happens.
Harvey Keitel cradles Tim Roth lovingly in his arms and is like...
wouldn't you? Wouldn't you cradle Tim Roth any chance you got?
I don't know how. I don't know how to answer that question, to be honest. I don't.
Doesn't he get cradled in Funny Games?
I think so. Yeah. I think
so.
so.
Watch Funny Games.
I have recently thought about rewatching that and realized that maybe I don't know if I could put myself through that another time. But anyway.
Well, you wouldn't have to because it's not streaming.
Anyway, rank yours.
Reservoir Dogs, Inglourious Bastards, Pulp Fiction. Django Unchained.
I forgot to add in Django. Fuck. I have to rethink this whole thing.
Kill Bill. That long one, what was it?
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight. The last part of Four Rooms.
You look like you're in so much pain right now.
Death Proof, Jackie Brown.
Okay. Jackie Brown's last.
I'm sorry. I need to watch it again. It's been a long time.
Alright. So you can...
We're now 2 minutes over.
You can send us your Quentin Tarantino rankings and then email us other questions, comments, and recommendations to idiotsguidetohorror@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at idiotsguidetohorror. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/horroridiots. You can find us on YouTube at... our channel is Idiot's Guide to Horror. Surprise, surprise. You can go ahead and rate our podcast on iTunes to help other horror movie fans or just, fans of movies. Or
God, I wish you would.
Fans of people making weird tangents about weird bullshit. Tell a friend about us. And,
Tell them I hated your favorite movie, and we're sorry.
But that's because we're our own kind of film bro. So, You too. Be your own kind of film bro.
And never waste your pain.
Good night, everyone.
Au revoir.